Hello lovers of folding knives. Today I want to make a small review of knives, in the weapons theme. When making these knives, I was inspired by world-famous firearms. If you have already guessed what weapons we are talking about, write in the comments. Let's start with the first knife. I haven't sewn a case for it yet. The knife design resembles a rifle from the First World War. It's a back lock. All knives are made from old circular saws. The blade has a wide fuller. The metal is chemically blued. The butt plate is made of textilite, but in the next projects I will use metal or ebonite. I used wood, sakupira for the overlays. Then I covered it with linseed oil and wax. The next knife is the Mauser C96. This is a knife with a folding blade. The blade is thrown out with the help of a rigid spring. The trigger is turned by turning the lever. The blade has two-sided descents, and a decorative saw on the spine. The blade is also etched in iron chloride, which creates an oxide film and prevents corrosion on the surface of the blade. The handle resembles the design of the Mauser pistol handle. It is made of oak and covered with stain. I also used the ring on the handle from the pistol design, which I made from a 3 mm thick nail. And also on top there is something resembling a sighting bar. The bolt carrier and the trigger. The knife has a sheath. It is made of vegetable tanned leather 2.5 mm thick. There is also a decorative cartridge case for 3 cartridges on the sheath. The knife fits well in the sheath and does not fall out of it. Next knife. The design of this knife is taken from the 1941 PPSh submachine gun. The blade is extended by moving the spring, and the trigger mechanism is triggered and the blade flies out under the pressure of a rigid spring. I took the recognizable oval barrel cooling holes and the bolt carrier from the machine gun design. The butt plate is metal. The knife handle is wooden. It is Canadian maple. Unfortunately, the overlay has a defect. This microcrack was not visible during wood processing, but it appeared during painting. The blade has a single-sided descent. The knife has a leather sheath with embossing. To tell the truth, the sheath turned out not very successful and has cracked and dried out leather. The next knife is a folding bayonet knife. The design is taken from a real Italian bayonet knife for the Mannlicher Corcano rifle or the Beretta submachine gun. I like the idea of a folding bayonet knife and wanted to repeat it. The idea of this knife is that when folded it can be used as a knife. And when unfolded as a bayonet. I was interested in repeating the blade locking without having drawing. But unfortunately the blade has a backlash. I wonder if the real bayonet also had such problems. I know that they stopped producing them and began to make a bayonet with a fixed blade. If you know the reason, please write in the comments. The handle is made of Canadian maple. I made the sheath entirely out of leather. Its design is reminiscent of the sheaths of bayonets from the First World War. The next knife is a Luger Parabellum P08. I used old circular saws to make the metal have pits from corrosion to give the impression that it is over 100 years old. The main idea of this knife was the bolt carrier. I had this idea for several months but I wasn't sure that I would be able to implement it. After all, there is always a risk that you will spend a lot of time and effort but in the end the mechanism will not work. I also really like the checkering on the handles. I often use checkering in my work. Unfortunately, not every material is suitable for this. In this case, it is ebonite. I make the checkering with a homemade tool because I can't find a professional one on sale. And this would significantly improve the quality of the work. In this blade locking mechanism, I really like that it is possible to close the bolt completely and remove all the play. With such a bolt, the blade will never have play, regardless of the metal production, since the principle of the bolt is to wedge. The more metal is produced, the deeper the wedge sits and removes the gap. The button and safety on the knife have no purpose. I sewed the sheath so that it would resemble the pistol holster as much as possible. The sheath has a pocket for Luger 9x19 cartridges. These cartridges are fake. I love this sound. The clicking and creaking of leather can only compare with the ringing of a blade. Thank you for your attention and support. Don't forget that your subscription, like or comment gives me strength and inspires me to new projects. You can also become a channel sponsor and support the channel financially. All money from sponsors goes to the development of the channel. Thank you all and good luck.